Hey there, everybody. It's your boy Chapadong, and today I thought let's go through and get you guys prepped for baseball a little bit and show you kind of what the deal is at DFS Army, how we turn Joes into pros. I really and truly each and every day in every sport. So the VIP is the best, obviously, membership pricing tier that you can get. And coupon code DFS Army will knock 10% off. VIP 24 will also knock 10% off, whichever code you want to use. You know my little saying, friends don't let friends pay retail. I wanted to walk through the different tools. None of them are populated yet, but at least show you where they are, what they are. If you've noticed, the site has gone through a redesign. So we've got scrolling articles up top. So you're going to get things like your Carnage Report, your full count article, things like that are going to be the same as they have been in previous years. We're expanding maybe to pitching and hitting type articles, maybe. We'll have to see how that shakes out with staff and all of that. Video section down here, you're going to see targets and fades. You're probably going to see player props, strikeout props, notably for prize picks and sleeper and all that kind of stuff. And those will all appear down here in the video section. Content matrix is new this year. It's something that we have done for NFL and NBA, and it goes actually over really, really well from our tools to articles to videos. You can sort individually there. You can see what's coming soon, and you can see what is available as of right now on the site. So if you have a question about, hey, when are the cheat sheets going to be live? Look at the content matrix. Hey, when's the player props video coming out? Or the starting lineups up? Or the leverage stacks up? Look at the content matrix. It'll tell you if it's still coming or if it's live. Okay, so it's a really, really easy way for you to take control over your own research process based on the timing at which these tools go live. But what are the tools? First and foremost, Domination Station Optimizer. I'll show you that last, but that's our lineup builder, of course, full stacking capabilities, all sorts of different formations from 3x2 to 3x3 to 4x to 4x2 to 4x4 to whatever you want to stack. We've got it available for you, different percentages, different weights towards being able to do multiple things at one time. Pitcher, basic statistics, ownerships, value, metrics like fantasy points per dollar. And then, of course, randomization, uniques, build 2 lineups, build 200 lineups, whatever. It allows you to do all of that, and that is really, really an awesome tool. Cheat sheets are probably next most popular thing that we do. Yeah, look at there, we do have one up. Probably for spring training, I guess. If it's current, I don't know. I don't play a lot of spring training baseball. It's not my thing, but there you go. It's a showdown one, of course, but you've got a cheat sheet archive. You could go and look at them if you want, see the different dates, see what we do. We generally put our core plays in blue, put a confidence rating on them, whether they're good for FanDuel, DraftKings, or either site, and then some player notes to really help you understand why the coach likes that particular play for the day. These, a lot of times people will take the strongest plays off of this cheat sheet, will then go boost their projections in the lineup optimizer and kind of combine research methods, get all of the projections, all the optimized lineups with the coach's favorite players in most of their lineups. That way, building stronger lineups or a contrarian lineup if the coach is a more contrarian coach, whatever the case may be. The research station is our statistics suite, meaning everything you could possibly imagine and I don't know how this might change this year, if it's going to get a redesign or not, but you've got a projections section, you've got StatCast numbers, you got pitching numbers. Chop Shop's my favorite. I'll come back to that. But bullpen numbers, Vegas totals and such, and then all of the stats from ISO to slug to WOBA to WRC plus, whatever. Whole bunch of metrics that you may or may not use. Full season. We've got a trends tool here for hitters that then goes into their last 14-day, last 30-day, last 7-day type trends. I like to use trends in WOBA especially and ISO for power. And I like to see that somebody's baseline, let's say they hit 200 ISO last year over 600 at-bats. Well, I like to see if his 30-day numbers or his 14-day numbers are higher than that. That means he's running hot. And I like to play the hot hand. You could go the other way and see somebody running below that. Let's say their 30-day number is below 200. But let's say it's like 100. But let's say their 7-day number is 400. Now what you've got is an indicator that he's running below his baseline for a month, but his last 7 days he's hot. That might be the indicator of a guy coming out of a slump that's getting ready to absolutely rip the cover off the ball. Okay, there are different ways to use all these things. There's different things to talk about, different levels of importance that you might put into your research process, but this is just one way of going about things. So all the stats that you could ever want, the chop shop I use more for pitchers. So if I separate out the pitching tab here and went to pitchers, chop shop is essentially K score and W score. And K score, if you haven't seen the video, is strikeouts. It's strikeout potential. I'm going to take the team that has high strikeouts, that just swings and misses a lot. And if they're facing a pitcher that has a high strikeout percentage, I'm in a really good spot. I've got a team that loves to swing and miss versus a pitcher that throws for a lot of strikeouts. That's a good matchup. Now, it puts it all on a sliding scale and creates a number that I can then compare across the slate. Who's in the best matchup when it comes to a team that strikes out and a pitcher that strikes people out? Because sometimes a mediocre strikeout pitcher is in a better matchup if he faces a team that strikes out a ton than maybe a higher strikeout pitcher that is facing a contact-heavy team that doesn't strike out a bunch. That's going to suppress his K prop and his K numbers. But so the mediocre pitcher may actually be in the better matchup, and that's what Chop Shop points out. We have the Proptimizer, which if you haven't seen is for a lot of your prize picks, your sleeper, underdog, pick'em sites. It's going to be running probably a lot of K props. Starting lineups page has a lot of statistics in it as well as the X stats like X WOBA. Gives Carnage Report numbers, DFSA grade, things that people like to use, which let's go to Carnage Report next. Carnage Report is a pitching tool. And you can see K-score and VK score and all of this. This is something that Nili has developed over the years, kind of through talking with me, but he's done his own thing with it. Uses Sierra, ISO, XWOBA, things like that, and comes up with a number that should tell you how good, how strong that pitching matchup is for the day. A purple guy is really, really good, and a red or pink guy is pretty bad. So you might target the pink guys, and you might use the purple guys, if that makes sense. It's just, again, real quick at-a-glance tools to help you build lineups. Leverage stacks. These are going to use ownership, rankings, point per dollar, salary, things like that, all combined together to tell you which team, which offense should carry the most GPP winning leverage should you stack them. I like to use this tool to look at the total ownership of a lineup and determine who are the chalky bats. Is it Colorado and Coors? Is it, the LA Dodgers? And then do I want to use that team as a stack, or do I want to fade them and go contrarian? Because baseball is a highly volatile sport. Baseball, almost any team can go off in a given night, and that gives you a lot of winning chances if you play the lower ownership game. But then again, as you've heard me talk about lately, on larger slates, ownership kind of gets washed out anyway. So you can actually play the chalk and get leverage by going overweight on the chalk in the bigger slates. We'll talk about that more with the VIPs and tell you when to do which when the baseball season rolls around. The chalkboard tool is straight ownership. This is a cash game type of tool. Lets you know who the highest owned players are at each position. And a lot of guys hand build off of this tool, take the highest owned pitcher, catcher, first baseman, second base, third base, and they start fitting in for a little bit of salary, a little bit of this or that or the other, and they try to build the highest owned lineup that they can, and that usually puts them right there in the hunt for your 50-50s and your double-ups, and makes it a little bit easier to win those games without having to dig into all of the WOBA and all of the stats if you don't want to. You can just use everybody else. Everybody else is going to be on Mookie Betts, so play Mookie Betts. That way, if he does good, you're there. If he does poorly, it doesn't hurt you because everybody else had him as well. And then you're going to be different somewhere in the outfield or somewhere at third base or something like that, where you're going to think this guy's just in a better matchup than that guy. So Mookie Betts is like off the table. You've just completely nullified him, and it's going to come down to your lineup versus my lineup. And if, I don't know, Mike Trout does better than Aaron Judge in the outfield that night, and that's who's going to end up winning the head-to-head. That's how you play cash games in 2024 in a lot of cases. is you're really only different in 1, 2, or 3 spots because most people see the very, very popular plays and now use them. That's why the games are getting tougher. We will show you when to use those, when not to use those, when to get away from the chalk, and when to use the chalk both in your hitting stacks and in your players for cash lineups, for tournaments, for small slates, for large slates, for any of it. The weather station, pretty cool tool. This one's loaded from last year still. You can see temperature, wind direction, out to right, in from left, and how many miles per hour that wind is coming in or blowing out. You got delay risks, postponed risks, so you can avoid those games that might get canceled. Air density for drag on a baseball for you physics majors out there. Hitter rating and a pitcher rating, along with park adjusted factors in there. It's a neat little tool to get your day started, so you got an idea of what games you need to watch at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to see if they're going to postpone, or what games might present genuinely strong hitting environments, or where the pitchers might shine. Carnage Report we covered, tiers, projections, super draft. I don't think we really do much with that anymore, but that's just the basic rundown of what you're going to do. I like to go through and show you my setup videos. I've already got one out that was back testing and showing you a little bit of that when it comes to the optimizer. And because we don't have any slates up yet, I would have to just randomly go through here. Let's pick something in the middle of last year. The main slate from August 6th. Why not? I'll show you how quick this is to set it up. It's a big slate. You can look at implied run totals. You can look at game totals. You can look for things like that. A little bit of the reds and greens to give you a real good idea of where the games might be getting ready to go off. You got salary range sliders, fantasy point range sliders, salary cap sliders. Maybe you don't want a super chalky lineup, but you want it to at least have $32,000 in salary. Set the slider, and it'll build lineups within $32,000 and $35,000 for you. You want to build 100 lineups? Fine, punch the number in. Ownership cap. I'll talk about that with our VIPs. It's a fun way to play in terms of making sure that you are using enough ownership, but not too much. Something that gives you leverage to actually win tournaments is a very easy way to use this slider to build very competitive tournament lineups. Batting orders, how many hitters against a pitcher you could use, forcing players, randomization, uniques, all of that. I like to use 2 or 3 uniques. I'll use tournament mode because it mixes the players a little bit better. I'll take out the 8 and 9 hitters. I'll put a little bit of randomness on the hitters. I don't really mess with the pitchers too much. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to sort by projected ownership. And I'm going to see who are the chalky teams. It looks like the Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinals. See the teams that are showing up a lot? A little bit of Philly, Yankees, only Aaron Judge. So they're probably going to be the popular players, but the popular stacks are probably going to be Boston, St. Louis, maybe Cincinnati, right? So if I come back up here and take Boston, St. Louis, and Cincinnati out, now I can see who's next in line. Here comes some Yankees and some Blue Jays and some Phillies. So it looks like there's 4 Phillies and 3 Blue Jays. Let's just call it that. Let's say Phillies and Blue Jays are the next most popular teams. There's the Phillies and there's the Blue Jays. Since those teams are removed, I can actually do something really quickly here. Open up the stacking. Let's say I wanted to make 4x3 stacks, which is a very popular stacking combo. I close off all these others. I put a full 100% for that. I randomly mix the teams, and I come down here and I uncheck the teams. Now, when I come back up here and I check these teams back in, watch what happens magically. There they are, all checked back in. And let's say I didn't want more than, say, 70% of any one of my teams in my stacks. That's just the big 4 stack side, right? I didn't touch the small stack side until I click mirror, stack 1, there it is. And I click optimize, and I'm going to get 100 lineups here in about a minute. Less than a minute, like 20 seconds. There's 100 lineups. They're built correctly using the highest scoring teams of the day, the highest owned teams even, and they're all stacked with, there's Boston and St. Louis, and there's Philly and Cincinnati, and it mixes and it matches, and it's hunting for the right combos. This is how you win at baseball. If you need more details, you need to be a VIP, dfsarmy.com, and use code DFSArmy, get you about in here. We'll start talking some baseball. Take care, everybody. We'll see you this year.